Welcome back. My guest has gone from the radio to the Republican nominee for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. His name is John Reid. He's up late with me tonight here in studio on the Final Five. Hey, good to see you. Welcome in tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm excited about it.
I want to talk about, first of all, one of the big issues in Virginia right now that we've been covering here at Fox 5, but you have been talking about, which is what's happening in Loudoun County Public Schools. And this all has to do with the Title IX investigation involving students in a locker room when a transgender student, biologically female, identifying as male, used the boys' locker room. This created a whole controversy here. Why has this struck a chord with people in Loudoun County?
Because parents don't like it. And it's obviously wrong. I mean, you have young boys who are being exploited by someone who is a different sex. I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly or rude to people. You know, I'm a gay candidate. So I have a lot of appreciation for people who are outside the norm, right? But I have to be the one to call out the insanity that's happening here. This is absurd. And these boys are now being investigated, their future potentially on the line here. And what I really don't get is that 4 years ago, this is the exact reason that Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat, lost to Glenn Youngkin, the Republican, for governor of Virginia. And apparently no one has recalibrated here. I'm going to be in Loudoun on Tuesday afternoon to talk about this and to encourage parents to stand up for their children's rights. I think it's important.
This was, as you said, 4 years ago. This was, and I don't think anybody saw this as such a flashpoint of an issue until, you know, the run-up to the last week of the campaign, when you saw the polls shifting a little bit in the public sentiment going towards Governor Youngkin now. As mentioned, you're running for lieutenant governor. Virginia is a different beast where you don't run as governor and lieutenant governor on the same ticket. Right. Why wouldn't you imagine your Republican nominee, Winsome Sears, wouldn't this behoove her to be out there and campaigning and talking about this?
I suspect she'll talk about it some. Yeah. I'm really aggressive. I was in the media for 20-some years. Yeah. I know the issues that people really care about, and I intend to be out front on them. I always want to be responsible in the way I report things and the way I deal with things. Now that I'm in politics and hopefully in government, I want to be reasonable and responsible and fair to people. But this is clearly something that even if you are not a Republican voter, even if you're middle of the road, or even if you're a little left of center, I think parents do not like being told that their kids are going to be subjected to this type of nonsense. And that's what this is. This trans ideology is really killing us as a society. And I want to be benevolent in my analysis of it, but it is not healthy for us as a society.
When you say that, I mean, define, is this, because I think we can all understand that people have different walks in through life. People come from different backgrounds there, but when you say trans ideology, do you mean in the context of education, or the fact that it's become prevalent in society?
Well, especially with education, because there used to be a time we all agreed, whether you were the pastor at the church or you were the stripper down the street, we're going to protect the innocence of young people, right? We're not doing that anymore. We're kind of indulging this discussion, which I think is unwise, especially when you're talking about teenagers who are trying to find themselves. Everybody goes through a period of time of angst and self-discovery. And what we've lost is the truth. You know, the biological truth still matters. Factual truth still matters. I can work with your feelings. You tell me you got feelings, I appreciate that people are accommodating of my feelings. But what I can't tolerate and what I won't do is participate in a factual lie and then reorganize the entire society around it. I don't think that's fair to anybody.
When you jumped into this race here, when you look at being on the radio, as mentioned, and now doing this, what's been the biggest switch in your mentality and how you approach issues? Has much changed in your mind as you look at some of these big issues, or are you the same guy just in a new position?
I'm glad that for the 8 years that I hosted a talk show, I was still a listener. And that's important. If you're going to run for office, you need to be able to listen to people, and sometimes listen to people who start out hostile to you. Right. And I'm trying to do that. I'm traveling around the state. You can imagine that given my circumstance, I hear from people who are Republican and Democrat who don't agree with me. So I'm trying to engage with them and hear what they have to say. The radio program that I did, I often invited Democrats on. Sometimes they didn't come. But I invited them on, and I wanted to hear what they had to say. And I think this is a natural extension of the radio program. And I got tired of watching what Democrats were doing to the state in 2020, with the violence that we saw. I mean, this stuff in LA is really bothersome to me because I don't think we can tolerate people who decide that they're just not going to obey the law. Look, I'm mad about a heck of a lot of stuff, but I can't indulge people who don't want to obey the law. And I think the Democrats are blurring the line on that. I want everybody to understand, I'll talk to you, I'll work with you, but I ain't going to let you break the law.
Right before we go here, I have to bring up the fact that your candidacy got some controversy when you were accused. Somebody said there was it turned out, as you said, a fake website linked to your name here. Yeah. There was pressure for you to get out of this race. What was the motivation behind that? And have you felt more empowered now after that controversy, withstanding that? Because, you know, sometimes political headwinds can be powerful here.
Yeah. I've done everything right. I announced that I was looking at running over a year ago. I talked to the governor. I talked to Winsome Sears. I talked to Jason Miyares. Behind the scenes, I gave everybody a chance to say, hey, John, don't do this. Yeah. I got the 10,000 signatures. I think there's some people who just don't want someone like me running. Well, you know what? I am not going to be bullied, ever. Ever. As a person, as a politician, as a government official, I will not be bullied. And that's what happened that day. I'm putting it aside because I have to be politically mature enough to focus on winning and saving the state from some really bad ideas that are being peddled by the Democrats. And I hope if people follow me online, johnreidforvirginia.com, they'll see I'm a pretty mainstream guy, and I want to be fair to everybody.
John, great meeting you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Yeah. And the Final Five is back right after this.